Let's talk about Dead End, Paranormal Park, the latest animated Netflix series that delivers spooks and laughs alike. This one is an adaptation of the DeadEndia graphic novel series that I admittedly haven't read, so this honest review is going to be taking season 1 on face value. If you think the show is faithful or not, or you either agree or disagree with me, let me know down below. As always, there will be spoilers ahead, so you have been warned. Alrighty, so the premise here I was made a big fan of very early on. Essentially, there was a famous actress named Pauline Phoenix who has an entire theme park dedicated to her film career named Phoenix Parks. One particular attraction, based on her hit movie Dead End, is seeking new employees. That's where our main protagonists Barney and Norma come in, both competing for the job, with Barney bringing along his trusty pooch Pugsley to the interview. However, upon arrival, it turns out this theme park is haunted by evil demonic presences led by a Soulsborne type being named Temalucas. Temalucas possesses Pugsley, who becomes the first episode's villain, but after getting trapped in a photograph, Pugsley is left with the ability to speak. So the entire first season is pretty much Barney and Norma deciding they actually want to still work here despite several near-death experiences, and each episode has a fun, quirky scenario that they land in. I'm delighted about this because episode 1's comedy was a little bit weak, and I feared there was going to be a Cuphead show scenario again, whereby the source material was deserving of a bit more wit and adult-centric humour. Thankfully, from episode 2 onwards, Dead End absolutely hits the mark, and I found there were a barrel of laughs to be had, combining well-written character moments and punchlines with outlandish situational comedy. A personal highlight for me was episode 3, where Barney and Norma become part of a life coaching group led by a spiritualistic guru named Harmony. This episode offered up sheer hilarity from the ridiculousness of the scenario and from how exaggerated a character Harmony is. He's like Mick Jagger crossed with a sensei. It's brilliant. In fact, a lot of the episode concepts here absolutely take advantage of the off-the-wall nature of the show. In episode 2, there's a bunch of zombified mascots walking around the park trying to grab people, shouting the word meat, implying they want to eat them like meat, but in Twilight Zone to serve man fashion, there's a language misunderstanding. They want to meet and greet people, actually being friendly and welcoming. It was a nice twist that made me realise, yep, this show's going to be doing more of this sort of thing. In another episode, there's an evil demon called the Night Hag, that's the villain there. How do they defeat the Night Hag? By summoning a day hag, so that the day and night can cancel each other out. It's that flavoursome combination of logic and madness that infuse so potently in this show for an astounding comedic effect. There are stacks of these moments that set up jokes to lead you down a certain path before pulling the rug from under you to a strong climax. The bizarre oddball nature of the show doesn't end there though, as Dead End takes full advantage of its setup on multiple levels. In terms of the vibrant visuals, there's an episode where the characters wind up trapped in a TV and become characters in many of Pauline Phoenix's movies, which cover a variety of genres and ages. As such, we get multiple aesthetics, such as a black and white classic horror, a western, a 50s B-movie. It really goes all out in the animation department on top of being a great episode concept. Back to the Harmony episode, where Harmony is actually a play on words for harm many. We get a segment where the art style has this kind of chalk or crayon style effect. It's really cool, and the colour palette throughout the show is eye-popping, with the animators quite clearly being given such a large ballpark to play with when creating the visuals under the guidance of the original creator of DeadEndia, Hamish Steele. Even the episode concepts all stand out as original to one another. Later in the series, we get a fully justified and brilliantly executed musical episode with a plethora of catchy songs, my favourite of which being Courtney's solo song About the Down Below. Of course, there are the Harmony and TV episodes I mentioned before, but another highlight was where Norma becomes a noir-style detective for an episode while investigating the story arc of missing Pauline Phoenix impersonators writers at the park. It intentionally takes the mickey out of crime noir tropes with bags of charm. In fact, its horror influences are handled similarly, with some obvious and some more hidden nods to the genre. A more obvious example would be the episode titled Night of the Living Kids, a spin on Night of the Living Dead, of course. In that episode, the writers even lovingly mock horror movie sequel titles such as The Final Chapter, Origins, and Origins 2. It's great stuff. My favourite Easter egg type reference here was the food stall in the park called Sandwiches with the slogan "Live Deliciously," a gem of a wink aimed at Robert Eggers's The Witch and the famous Black Phillip quote, "Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?" The fact they've even switched the W for the two V's, mwah. There's very likely a couple more references like this in the show that I've not spotted, so if you were eagle-eyed and noticed something cool, let us all know in the comments below. But the comedy and creativity aren't the be-all and end-all of Dead End. It actually has a lot of heart about it, surrounding, in particular, Barney. We learn at the end of episode 2 that Barney is trans, and feels like Dead End is a place where he can feel a sense of belonging. Representation is so important, now more than ever, but what I like about how Dead End handles Barney being trans is it does it respectfully with subtlety. Sometimes representation in TV shows can be handled poorly, so it comes across as forceful, but here it's done beautifully in a way where you instantly connect with Barney from very early on. His character arc is that he temporarily ran away from his family after a mealtime led to his grandmother being nasty to him about his transgenderism, and his parents failed to support him and speak up at the time. By running away, he also weakened his bond with his younger brother, which he tries to salvage over the course of the season. So Barney has a jagged relationship with his family, and his main challenge is trying to make them understand and accept him, while also trying to juggle the double-edged sword that their support shouldn't have to be asked for, it should be the bare minimum of parenthood. For a daft little show about a haunted theme park, I'm very happy these themes were explored and were handled with care and a concentrated, honest dose of reality. It's fabulously well played, and it's also wonderful that Barney is voiced by Zach Barak, who is also transgender. He nails the role. Kody Kavitha also knocks it out the Paranormal Park as Norma. She's got a hell of a lot of sass and wit about her, and some of her comebacks and narcissistic humour just hit. But I also love that she has her own struggles, such as having panic attacks while being surrounded by a group of people in episode 3, and is open about socialising being a challenge to her. Now, admittedly, Norma's challenges explored earlier in the series aren't explored in that much more depth throughout. It's introduced but then resolved rather quickly. Barney's character arc lasts the entire 10-episode duration, whereas Norma's fear of the real world is done by the mid-series pretty much. She really comes out of her shell and is confident without it truly feeling like she overcame the barrier. Episode 3's climax with Harmony was where her admission of fearing the real world came in, and you think there's going to be a huge boulder later in the series to defeat, but it isn't delivered with the same gravitas as Barney's family issues were. However, she's also got a solid story arc surrounding Pauline Phoenix. Norma wanted to work at Dead End due to being an obsessed admirer of Phoenix, but over time discovers her evil nature and has all of her ideologies changed over the show's course. This was a cool never meet your heroes style narrative that I felt was pretty nicely covered. So, great characters, great concept, great plot threads, looking good so far. In terms of the production, I love everything about the show. The art style here is so cute and colourful, would be fantastic for a video game actually, but there's something recognisable yet fresh about it. On top of that, the animation is excellent, super smooth and unique, while also offering some wonderful rotoscope effect pieces, such as the sweeping 3D landscapes in the show's intro. And the voice acting is brilliant, with a particular highlight being Emily Osment as Courtney, the demon overseer of Dead End. The casting works so well, everyone suits their characters, nobody puts in a bad shift here, and I'm already on board with them for future series. If I did have any critique of the show for the creators to take on board for down the line, I think that Tenor Lucas could have been handled a little better. He comes firing into episode 1 like he's going to be this show's Skeletor, but is defeated straight away, and he lies dormant within Pugsley until randomly here and there popping up briefly. Now, I don't think that a show show's main villain should pop up in every episode. Absolutely not, you'd oversaturate it. I just feel like he should have maybe been kept for a couple more episodes before establishing him, and then having him being dormant within Pugsley pushed a bit more narratively, perhaps giving him a dual personality character arc where both sides psychologically battle for control of Pugsley's body. Otherwise, Tender Lucas kinda lacks the weight that seeing him in episode 1 led me to believe he was going to possess throughout. But generally speaking, that's a very minor criticism. In all honesty, I ended up loving Dead End way more than I was anticipating. Due to not being familiar with the source material, I didn't really know what to expect, and I felt this could have easily been a run-of-the-mill Cartoon Network style show. However, the mastery and variety of the animation, the multiple strong plot threads, poignantly handled representation, and 10 distinct rewatchable episodes, Dead End Paranormal Park has me ready and waiting for more, and is one of my Netflix highlights of 2022. But what did you think of Dead End? Is it heading for a dead end, or is it worth moving into the night for future seasons? Let me know down below. I've been Connor from Unleash the Ghouls. Please help out our growth by subscribing if you'd like constant spooktacular content coming through for your viewing pleasure. Cheers-o!